What up, YouTube? Welcome to part 2 of Dragon Age Origins with a Therapist. Part 1 was loaded with lots of content. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm assuming you did since you're back for episode 2. As always, please make sure to like the stream. Make sure that, or the video. Make sure to follow if you don't sub to the channel if you don't sub to the channel. If you're watching my videos and you don't sub, please sub. It makes a huge difference. You can turn off notifications if you don't want the notifications, but I really appreciate the sub. Leave a comment if you like. I appreciate all of you leaving comments in episode 1. If you ever want to catch this live, catch me at 9:30 p.m. Pacific time on Twitch, twitch.tv/DrMick. Follow all the links down in the description, including Discord, where we have conversation about Dragon Age while I'm offline. And it's just, there's multiple ways to engage with the content of this community. Also, feel free to check out my other playthroughs if you haven't already. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day or night to watch this, and I'm really excited to bring it to you. So let's see what Duncan's got for us. I'm looking good in this chainmail armor, I gotta say. Like, your boy's ready to... Elf is ready to be a warrior. Babyface, non-bearded elf. Ready to roll. All right, Duncan.
Are you ready to go?
I am.
Good. Then we leave for Ostagar immediately. We will be traveling south through the hinterlands to the ruin of Ostagar, on the edges of the Korcari Wilds. The Tevinter Imperium built Ostagar long ago to prevent the Wilders from invading the northern lowlands. It's fitting we make our stand here, even if we face a different foe within that forest. The King's forces have clashed with the Darkspawn several times, but here is where the bulk of the Horde will show itself. There are only a few Grey Wardens within Ferelden at the moment, but all of us are here. This blight must be stopped, here and now. If it spreads to the north, Ferelden will fall.
Ho there, Duncan.
King Kalen, I didn't expect
A royal welcome? I was beginning to worry you'd miss all the fun.
Not if I could help it, Your Majesty.
Then I'll have the mighty Duncan at my side in battle after all. Glorious. The other wardens told me you'd found a promising recruit. I take it this is he?
Allow me to introduce you, Your Majesty.
There's no need to be so formal, Duncan. We'll be shedding blood together after all. Ho there, friend. Might I know your name?
Boy, he just, personally, the king just got a big old gold star from me. I appreciate people in authority who do not just automatically go to decorum. I think that's cool. He's like, look, man, I'm about to go into battle with you. Let's be bros. I'm into it. It's cool. It sort of neutralizes the hierarchy. It actually gives me more respect for him as king, because I can respect that he understands his constituents enough to be able to kind of come down and meet them at their level, instead of forcing them to, like, forcing a hierarchy in there. Like, if he just demands that I'm just like, my king, he's like, sure, fine, but that's all surface level. This is like, look, dude, I know I'm the king. I own it. I've got enough self-esteem to realize that that matters to people. So let's just be bros, all right? What's up? How's it going? I love that. Can we skip the introduction? It's been a long trip. I'm Mick, Your Majesty. I'm no friend of yours, human lord. I highly doubt it, but anything is possible. I'm Mick. Why would I lie to him? There's no reason for me to be shitty with him here, right? Like, he just neutralized the hierarchy. He shows that he's coming in good faith. I'm Mick. What's up, man?
Pleased to meet you. The Grey Wardens are desperate to bolster their numbers, and I, for one, am glad to help them. I see you're an elf, friend. From where do you hail?
Now, I will say that this piece of engagement is interesting to me. And maybe provides a little bit of insight into the king being out of touch with the actual state of affairs in the system that he is ruling. And that he may not fully understand the way that some of his fellow humans are actually treating elves. Like, he could be so far removed from this that he assumes that elves are cool and that, like, things are free and nobody's really reporting back to him that there's problems. Because he's treating me with a lot of respect. Like, I am a city elf. He is the king of the humans, and he's just like, what's up, bro? So, him not even knowing that I would come from an alienage means that either he is making certain assumptions about me as being either above that or better than, or he literally doesn't know what's going on. And that's not totally unheard of. Sometimes it's easy to look at the king and blame him for everything that's going on, but it may actually be that the people underneath the king are leveraging his favor in order to exert undue power over their subordinates in the form of elves that the king may not appreciate and may actually be willing to go in and try to change if he actually understood what's going on. That's maybe a bit of an overread, but it's just an interesting way of him engaging with me here. He may genuinely be curious about where I come from. He may know all about the alienages, and he's just trying to be casual in his conversation, but my antenna kind of go up there of, like, how aware is this guy of the way that the system he rules is working? One of your alienages. I'm going to be honest with him, right? From one of your alienages, naturally.
Tell me, how is it there? My guards all but forbid me going there.
He has no idea. He has no idea. So, right? So the king, there's a barrier between high leadership and the lowest of the low in the hierarchy. And because he's so high up, he doesn't really have to think about it, but his guards are stopping him from going, I think because his guards are the problem. They are power by proxy. Okay? These are people, so the humans and the guards are people who are demanding respect from the elves. Whereas the king is like, what's up, dude? So, here's what we're gonna do. If he had come at me in the way that a typical human would come at me, maybe scoff at me, look at me differently, demand respect, that would show that he doesn't understand what's going on. His willingness to neutralize the hierarchy early on tells me that he probably will respect me being real with him. Like he said, he's about to go into battle. So this dude's not a king who just sits on the throne and lets other people fight his battles. This guy gets in the trenches. So I think he's likely to appreciate honesty. And I think, going to skew toward being honest as a way to try to leverage and gain his favor. And if I start to get a sense that doing that is a bad idea, I may back off. But he has not given me much reason to be skeptical here by the way that he's engaged with me, especially relative to the way that other humans have engaged with me that have way less power than he does. So how is it there? I killed an Arl's son for raping my friend. That's true. There are so many things you know nothing about. I don't know that I want to take a shot at him here. That doesn't feel useful, because that's more of like a personal shot at him. You have no idea how bad it is to you as too. I'd rather not speak of it. I'm actually going to say this. I recently just killed an Arl's son because they raped my friend. That's how bad it is.
You... what?
Your Majesty, I would not have put it so bluntly. There are events in Denerim you should be aware of.
So it seems. I will hear more about this matter later. For now, we have a war to attend to. Allow me to be the first to welcome you to Ostagar. The Wardens will benefit greatly with you in their ranks.
Duncan. Duncan just undermined me there. Duncan's bias is... From reading the comments on part 1 and from kind of just like thinking about it, like I think people have been thinking that I'm being very harsh with Duncan, but I need to trust Duncan. I just spoke directly to the king. The king responded pretty well. He was like, what? Holy shit. And Duncan's like, I wouldn't have put it that bluntly. So Duncan is trying to intercept whatever tension he believes is either going to happen, or he's sort of neutralizing a bit of the power that I have there by saying that. Right? He's using his humanness to connect with the king to instill some doubt in the way that I presented that information. And I don't appreciate that. If you're going to ask me to come join the Grey Wardens and follow you, you need to show that you are willing to engage with reality, dude. Like, that's what happened. The guy took my wife and was going to rape her. So I went and killed him in order to save her. That's reality. That's not a perception. It's not any of that stuff. So he loses a bit of favor with me, and I actually don't know that the king will even respect that, because the king's like, I need to do something about that, which is awesome. That's what you should do if you're the king. You should be like, dude, I need to hear more about this. Holy shit. This special person that's going to join the Grey Wardens just told me this shit straight up. The balls on this guy. So I don't appreciate Duncan's response there. It's not the worst thing he could have ever done, but it still sends a message. You're too kind, Your Majesty. We'll see about that. Your welcome means nothing to me, human lord. We'll see about that. I mean, I don't know that I don't have reason to trust the humans that are going to be part of the Grey Wardens.
I'm sorry to cut this short, but I should return to my tent. Loghain waits eagerly to bore me with his strategies.
Your uncle sends his greetings and reminds you that Redcliffe forces could be here in less than a week.
Ha! Eamon just wants in on the glory. We've won 3 battles against these monsters, and tomorrow should be no different.
He sounds a bit confident here. I didn't realize things were going so well. It sounds like the Blight is almost over. You sound very confident of that. I mean, yeah, you sound confident, man.
Overconfident, some would say. Right, Duncan?
He's got some insight.
Your Majesty, I'm not certain the Blight can be ended quite as quickly as you might wish.
I'm not even sure this is a true blight. There are plenty of Darkspawn on the field, but alas, we've seen no sign of an archdemon.
Disappointed, Your Majesty?
I'd hoped for a war like in the tales. A king riding with the fabled Grey Wardens against a tainted god. But I suppose this will have to do. I must go before Loghain sends out a search party. Farewell, Grey Wardens.
What the king said is true. They've won several battles against the Darkspawn here.
You don't sound very reassured about that, though, which, as head of the Grey Wardens, has me a bit concerned. Like, if I'm gonna take somebody's word on the Blight, I'm probably gonna go with the leader of the Grey Wardens over the king. Especially given, because here's the thing, chat. The king just showed me that he is not particularly perceptive to the reality of the systems he's engaged in. So if his judgment's way off on the way that Denerim is with the alienage, why should I trust his perception of the Blight when I have the literal Mr. Grey Warden sitting here going, dude, you're a bit overconfident here, buddy. Like, I'm not gonna trust the king on this. Like, you gotta look for patterns in people's behavior. You don't sound reassured, man.
Despite the victory so far, the Darkspawn horde grows larger with each passing day. By now, they look to outnumber us. I know there is an archdemon behind this, but I cannot ask the king to act solely on my feeling.
Why not? He seems to regard the Grey Wardens highly. I don't know that I can make that call. Do you think there's any danger?
Absolutely. We sent a call to the Grey Wardens of Orlais, and hope they will reach us before the archdemon does. Our numbers in Ferelden are too few. We must do what we can, and look to Teyrn Loghain to make up the difference. To that end, we should proceed with the joining ritual without delay.
Alright, what is that? I don't know what that is.
Every recruit must go through a secret ritual we call the Joining in order to become a Grey Warden. The ritual is brief, but some preparation is required. We must begin soon.
Okie dokie. When you got mad at Duncan for not stepping in the first part, would that not have been triangulation? It would have, but that's healthy triangulation. Allyship is a form of triangulation that's healthy. Not all triangulation is bad. Triangulation is not a cuss word. It's just something that people need to be mindful of so they can use it in a healthy way. Why is it so secret?
The Joining is dangerous. I cannot speak more of it except to say that you will learn all in good time. Until then, you must trust that what is done is necessary.
Okay, dude. You haven't exactly built a lot of karma with me, and now you're going to tell me that a thing I didn't consent to... Well, I guess I kind of consented to coming with him. You're going to tell me that I got to do this thing, but I can't know what it is. It's probably dangerous. I have no way of preparing for it, and you have not really had my back throughout this. This is where... This is why it's so important for him to build some rapport here. Right? Like, I had a choice, but I didn't really have a choice, right? Like, he plucked me from the guards and then was like, you got to do this now. So, I don't have a ton of agency here. I mean, I suppose I could go run off into the woods if I really wanted to. Right? Like, there's always a choice. This is tricky, man. Am I the only recruit you've got?
No, there are 2 other recruits here already. They have been waiting for us to arrive.
Okay. What do you need me to do?
Feel free to explore the camp here as you wish. All I ask is that you do not leave it for the time being. There is another Grey Warden in the camp by the name of Alistair. When you're ready, seek him out and tell him it's time to summon the other recruits. Until then, I have business I must attend to. You may find me at the Grey Warden tent on the other side of this bridge, should you need to.
Okay. Archdemon. In darkness eternal they searched for those who had goaded them on, until at last they found their prize, their god, their betrayer, the sleeping dragon Dumat. Their taint twisted, even the false god, and the whisperer awoke at last, in pain and horror, and led them to wreak havoc upon the nations of the world, the first blight. The false dragon gods of the Tevinter Imperium lie buried deep within the earth, where they have been imprisoned since the Maker cast them down. No one knows what it is that drives the Darkspawn in their relentless search of the sleeping old gods. Perhaps it is instinct, as moths will fly into torch flames. Perhaps there is some remnant of desire for vengeance upon the ones who goaded the Magisters to assault heaven. Whatever the reason, when Darkspawn find one of these ancient dragons, it is immediately afflicted by the taint. It awakens twisted and corrupted and leads the Darkspawn in a full-scale invasion of the land. A blight. Mabari Warhound. Dogs are an essential part of the Ferelden culture, and no dog is more prized than the Mabari. The breed is as old as myth, said to have been bred from the wolves who served Dane. Prized for their intelligence and loyalty, these dogs are more than mere weapons or status symbols. The hounds choose their masters and pair with them for life. To be the master of a Mabari anywhere in Ferelden is to be recognized instantly as a person of worth. The Mabari are an essential part of Ferelden military strategy. Trained hounds can easily pull knights from horseback or break lines of pikemen, and the sight and sound of a wave of war dogs howling and snarling has been known to cause panic among even the most hardened infantry soldiers. Nice. We got some new culture and history? We do! The Korkari Wilds. It is said that in the midst of the Black Age, when werewolves stalked the lands of Ferelden in numbers that kept every farmholder indoors and a hound on every doorstep, a powerful Arl of the Almari people stood and declared that he would put an end to the threat. His heirling stood on the border of the Dark Forest on the southern border of the Ferelden Valley, and he claimed that the werewolves used the forest to launch their midnight assaults on humanity. For 20 years, this Arl led an army of warriors and hounds deep into the forest. In his hunt for the werewolves, he slew not only every wolf he came upon, but also every member of the chastened wilder folk. Any one of them, he said, could harbor a demon inside and thus be a werewolf in disguise. For 20 years, the forest rang with screams and the rivers ran red. The tales say that an old chastened woman found her sons all dead at the Jarl's blades. She pulled one of those very blades from one son's heart and plunged it into her own chest, cursing the Jarl's name as she did so. Where her blood touched the ground, a mist began to rise. It spread and spread until it was everywhere in the forest. The Jarl's army became lost, and it is said that they died there. Others say they wander still. The ruins of this Arling stand to this day, filled with the ghosts of women waiting eternally for their husband's return. The forest of the legend is, of course, the Kokari Wilds. There are as many legends about the great southern forest as there are shadows, or so the saying goes. The chastened wilder folk have made their homes since mankind first came to these lands, and the wildlands spread as far into the south as anyone has ventured. Beyond the mists are vast tracts of snow, white-capped mountains, and entire fields of ice. It is a land too cold for mankind to survive, yet the chastened eke out an existence even there, and they tell of horrors beyond the wilds that the lowland folk could not begin to comprehend. To most, Ferelden simply ends with the Kokari Wilds. There's nothing beyond. The wilds is a land of great trees, wet marshes, and dangerous monsters. What more need be said? From the Land of the Wilders by Mother Eilish, Chantry Scholar, 918 Dragon. These are fun to read. I really like these. King Kalen. I'd hoped for a war like in the tales, a king riding with the fabled Grey Wardens against a tainted god. Son of the legendary King Merrick Theron, Kalen was the first Ferelden king born into a land free from foreign rule in 2 generations. Since his father's death, he's held the throne alongside his queen, Honora. Loghain Mac Tyr. It takes more than legends to win a battle. Loghain was born a farmer during a time when his country was under foreign occupation. When he was still a boy, he joined the resistance, where his considerable tactical genius quickly became apparent. He became close friends with Prince Merrick and the last true heir to the Ferelden throne, and together they led the rebels to drive out the forces of the Orlesian Empire. Merrick raised his friend to the nobility, and Loghain is now more of a symbol than a man. He represents the Ferelden ideals of hard work and independence. Valendrian. Remember that our strength lies in commitment to tradition and to each other. Every alienage has a Haran, an elder. It falls to the Haran to arrange marriages for those without a family, to negotiate with the guards when there's trouble, and to act as a sort of mayor and surrogate uncle to the people of the alienage. The title, like so many things, is a holdover from the time of Arlathan. For Harans are not necessarily the oldest person in their community, or even all that old. The tradition gives the role of the oldest soul, the wisest, cleverest, and the most level-headed. Valendrian has been Haran of Denerim alienage since he was in his 30s. Okay, cool. Codex Red. Ostagar. Alrighty. So, we can talk to some of these folks, I guess, and maybe learn a little bit more about them. Duncan's going to go walk to the other side of the bridge. It's a really interesting area. Very elaborate. I like it. You there, guard patrol.
Make a watch over you, my lord.
So it's very interesting to me that as we walk out of these confines into Ostagar, it seems like some of the prejudices that existed in the city are no longer there. Or maybe they're more covert than overt. Like a lot of the humans that we have mostly run into now as we've gotten to the other side of the wall, including the king himself, have treated us with respect. So we may have a bit of a myopic view of humans based on our origin experience, which would make sense. But we do need to consider that maybe not all humans are terrible based on how we're being treated outside the confines of the alienage. And maybe there are some humans that, like the king, who can do something about it when we get back.
Hail, you must be the Grey Warden recruit that Duncan brought. This place hasn't seen such bustle in centuries, I'll wager. Need a hand getting anywhere?
Looking for Alistair. Well, tell me about Ostagar. Give me a little background.
Used to be a fortress long time ago, so I understand. Back in the days when the Wilders used to invade the lowlands. You were just on the eastern side of the ruin. The Tower of Ishal is there, but Tairn Loghain's closed it off until the battle. This side is the King's camp. We've got the Grey Wardens here, the Circle of Magi, the Chantry. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting somebody important.
Who swings dead cats? Where to get
Quartermaster,
supplies?
he's just a bit to the northwest.
Having issues with my earphones all night, so bear with me for a second. Where is the king?
Probably in his tent. He and Tern Loghain are on the southwest side of the camp. The king likes to spend time with his soldiers, though. Sometimes even without his bodyguard. Drives Tern Loghain wild, that does.
So Loghain seems to potentially, I mean, this is one guy's perception, but Loghain seems to want to bubble wrap the king. May not particularly enjoy the fact that the king is willing to engage with his constituents. Circle of the Magi is here?
A few mages, yes. They even brought those creepy quiet fellows, the Tranquil. Gives me the shivers when they talk, all cold and even. They're to the north of here, bunched up with a herd of Templars glaring at them. Can't miss it.
As a reminder, chat, do not spoil, do not backseat, do not allude to anything that we have not seen or done to this point. This is a blind run. You will be timed out, potentially even banned. This includes reacting to characters that we don't know anything about yet. Well, that makes that easy. See you later. Do I hear dogs barking?
This is Ferelden, isn't it? The king has his kennels on the west side of camp. Stinks from all the hounds. These aren't cute puppies, though. Some of those dogs bite the darkspawn and get too much of that blood in them. It's like poison. Slow, painful death. Terrible.
Jeez.
Go on, then.
Looking for Alistair.
Try heading north. I think he was sent with a message to the mages.
Where's Duncan's tent?
Not far. It's straight ahead, just past the royal encampment. Most of your fellas are in the valley with the army, but the recruits seem to be staying up here for now.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, then.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Ostagar. Representing the furthest point of encroachment by the ancient Tevinter Imperium into the barbarian lands of the southeast, the fortress of Ostagar was once one of the most important defensive holdings south of the Waking Sea. It stood at the edge of the Korkari Wilds, watching for any signs of invasion by the barbarians known today as the Chaizen Wilders. Straddling a narrow pass in the hills, the fortress needed to be bypassed to reach the fertile lowlands to the north, and proved to be exceedingly difficult for the Wilders to attack because of its naturally defensible position. Like most Imperial holdings in the south, Ostagar was abandoned after Tevinter's collapse during the First Blight. It was successfully sacked by the Chaizen Wilders, and then, as the Chaizen threat dwindled following the creation of the modern Ferelden nation, fell to ruin completely. It has remained unmanned for 4 centuries, though most of the walls still stand, as does the tall Tower of Ishal, named after the great Archon that ordered its construction. Ostagar remains a testament to the magical power of the Imperium that created it. From Ferelden, Folklore and History by Sister Petrine, Chantry Scholar. She's written a lot of the things that we've read. Alright. This place is cool. Like, look at these big-ass statues and stuff. Damn. What is going on here?
I'm sorry, but the mages must not be interrupted.
Okay, no
I'm
worries.
sorry, but the mages must not be interrupted.
Having a little dance party? What's going on here? I don't really do anything with magic, so just gonna go hang out. All right, we got a lot of people to chat with.
And we contemplate the death that
Greetings, young man. You are Duncan's newest recruit, are you not? He's not a man easily impressed. You should be proud. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Wynne, one of the mages summoned by the king.
Nice to meet you. We're gonna be cordial here. There's no reason for me to be antagonistic to these people. There really isn't. They're treating me with respect, so I'm gonna return it. This is not easy to do, by the way. I really want to talk about that for a second. It would be prudent for us as an elf to be skeptical of the humans in this camp in Ostagar. Humans do not deserve, nor are they entitled to, the benefit of the doubt from us. It is the humans' responsibility to show us that they are willing to neutralize whatever preconceived notions we may have about humans. Now, some of these humans may not fully know how things go down in Denerim, and they may be different. But because of our experience, we have to be careful. At the same time, we do, to an extent, need to afford these humans a chance to show us that they are not the same as the humans that we have interacted with thus far in our life. And this is hard to do because the human brain, in this case the elven brain, wants to make a connection in order to protect ourselves. That basically says you should make preemptive strikes on these humans. Make sure that they can't get one over on you. And a lot of people, if they don't think about it, might be a bit antagonistic to the humans because of their experiences leading up to it. And that would be understandable, and the hope would be that the humans understand that. However, these humans are all seemingly making an effort to show that they have respect for me, and so it is important for me to pay attention to those variables rather than my preconceived notions. When the reality of hard data overrides your preconceived notions, then it is on you to make sure that you work with the known variables and the reality of what's going on. So we're going to be kind to these people until they're shitty with us. And so I'm going to say pleased to meet you, even though I might generally go more neutral with I'm Mick. And I just wanted to explain why that's the case. And this is an important thing for all of us to understand, that past relationships do not predict future unrelated relationships.
Well met, and good luck to you on the battlefield. To us all, in fact.
You be fighting along beside the king?
Not precisely. The Grey Wardens will be on the front lines, not the mages. Still, we have our parts to play. To defeat the Darkspawn, we have to work together. It's not an idea everyone seems able to grasp.
You know much about them?
Some. Do you? Do you know about the connection between them and the Fade, for example?
No, I don't. I don't even know what the Fade is.
Anytime your spirit leaves your earthly body, whether it's to dream or to die, it passes into the realm we call the Fade. It's home to many spirits, some benevolent, others far less so. At the heart of the Fade lies the Black City.
So they're just the Darkspawn are just dream spirits.
Sadly, no. They are kin to neither the gentle Fade spirits nor the malevolent demons. Shamefully, they were once the souls of men. Some say the Black City was once the seat of the Maker. But when the mages from the Tevinter Imperium found a way into the city, it was tainted with their sin. That taint transformed those men, turning them into twisted reflections of their own hearts. And the Maker cast them back to the Earth, where they became the first Darkspawn. At least that's what the Chant of Light says.
Jesus. Hell doesn't even want you. Go back. Go terrorize Purgatory. Oh my God. Is it true?
It may be allegory, meant to teach us that our own evil causes human suffering. Or it may be true. It is as good an explanation as any for now.
Don't you have any proper advice? Wow. That's something to ponder for sure.
Yes, occasionally it's wise to contemplate one's actions. But I'm certain Duncan has more for you to do than talk to me.
Yes, but I quite enjoyed talking to you.
Should it find you?
It was very interesting. Win. I will not lie motionless in a bed with coverlets up to my chin, waiting for the death to claim me. Wynn's talent became apparent early on, particularly her skill at healing magic. She was well liked by all her mentors and was recognized as an exceptionally gifted student. Even the Templars who watched her could not deny that she represented the best the Circle had to offer. She was an intelligent young woman who possessed a quiet confidence and a maturity beyond her years. She spent many years mentoring apprentices within the Circle, and her peers thought so highly of her that she was asked to be the first Enchanter Irving's successor, but she refused, saying that she had no desire to work in the upper echelons. When word reached the Tower of King Kaelin's call to arms, Wynn volunteered to go to Ostagar. Fade. The study of the Fade is as old as humankind. For so long as man have dreamed, we have walked its twisting paths, sometimes catching a glimpse of the city at its heart. Always as close as our own thoughts, but impossibly separated from our world. That's a hell of a paragraph. The Tevinter Imperium once spent vast fortunes of gold, lyrium, and human slaves in an effort to map the terrain of the Fade, an ultimately futile endeavor. Although portions of it belong to powerful spirits, all of the Fade is in constant flux. The Imperium succeeded in finding the disparate and ever-shifting realms of a dozen demon lords, as well as cataloging a few hundred types of spirits, before they were forced to abandon the project. The relationship of dreamers to the Fade is complex. Even when entering the Fade through the use of lyrium, mortals are not able to control or affect it. The spirits who dwell there, however, can, and as the Chantry teaches us, the great flaw of the spirits is that they have neither imagination nor ambition. They create what they see through their sleeping visitors, building elaborate copies of our cities, people, and events, which, like the reflections in a mirror, ultimately lack context or life of their own. Even the most powerful demons merely plagiarize the worst thoughts and fears of mortals and build their realms with no other ambition than to taste life. Jeez. Oh my god. From Tranquility and the Role of the Fade in Human Culture by First Enchanter Josephus. Tranquility, huh? Whoa.
Will not have failed your king.
That place
Will
sucks.
serve your maker. Die in this battle, and when
Or
you
at least
stand
so
before
we
the
understand
king
it
of
from
the
these
land,
readings.
He shall not find you wanting. Go not.
Wow.
So, any last wishes I can help fulfill before you head into battle? Life is fleeting, you know. That pretty face could be decorating some darkspawn spear this time tomorrow. Shall I take that quiet glare as a no? Oh, well, too bad.
Yeah, maybe back off, dude. What you doing?
Well, you're not what I thought you'd be.
Yeah, what'd you think I'd be?
Not an elf, yet here you are. The name's Daveth. It's about bloody time you came along. I was beginning to think they cooked this ritual up just for our benefit.
What do you know about it?
I happened to be sneaking around camp last night, see, and I heard a couple of Grey Wardens talking. So, I listened in for a bit. I'm thinking they plan to send us into the wilds.
Wilds?
We're right on the northern edge of the Kokari Wilds here, miles and miles of savage country. My home village isn't far, and I grew up on tales about the wilds. Even been in there a few times. Scary place.
Why are they so frightening to you, sir?
Cannibals, beasts, witches, and now darkspawn. What isn't to be scared of? It's all too secretive for me. Makes my nose twitch. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Like we have a choice.
You know, I give him credit for owning up to the fact that he's afraid. Like, I actually... Well, people run into problems when they don't validate their own internal emotional experience. Our general logic and intuition in the way that we often see masculinity represented is that you should not engage with fear. That if you experience fear, if you pay attention to it, if you validate it, you're weak, and you are likely to fall prey to whatever it is you're afraid of. That is not so. It is actually a sign of intestinal fortitude to an extent to acknowledge that you are afraid and then to make a decision in response to that. So I actually appreciate that this guy is willing to acknowledge that there is fear associated with what he's potentially going to be asked to do, because that tells me that he is in touch with what is going on for him and that he's hopefully going to work with it and work alongside of it rather than against himself, where he's not acknowledging that he's afraid because he wants to perpetuate some sense of bravado. Pretty good stuff here. They're forcing you to be here too?
I've got nowhere else to go after what Duncan saved me from. Anyway, I expect it's time to get back to Duncan. That's where I'll be if you need me for anything.
Alright. Cool.
Well met.
Is this a guy or is this a suit? Oh no, it's a suit. I want that suit of armor. Suit of armor is awesome. What's up, man?
You there, elf. Where's my armor? And why are you dressed so preposterously?
Very interesting that the farther you go down the human ranks, the meaner they are to the elves. This is not an uncommon. This is not an uncommon way of handling hierarchies, by the way. Because we talked about this in episode 1. People punch down when they can't punch up. So this guy being the quartermaster, I would argue is probably pretty low on the hierarchy. He's not a Grey Warden. He's not going out into battle. Like in this system, he's probably not very high. So when I show up as an elf, this is an opportunity for him to exert influence and power. So he can't generally push against the Grey Wardens. Maybe he's not here by choice. Maybe he's not happy with where he's at. He sees me. He mistakes me based on representation that he's likely seen of elves at his level. And then he's hostile toward me because he can be. Now, that's not cool of him to do. I don't appreciate that. At the same time, I'm not going to take it personally because unless he makes this personal. But this is generally why I would anticipate that he would act hostilely toward me. The king didn't because the king's not even in touch with it. The king probably has a we're all equal kind of mentality, whereas these guys are aware of the hierarchy and they are going to exert influence where they can. Sociology 101. And sometimes people in positions of very high power know how to leverage that in order to keep lower folks fighting with each other so that they don't punch up as one single group as a show of force. So I'm gonna take this kind of not somewhat neutrally and just be like, because I'm here to be a Grey Warden.
Oh, yes, of course. Please forgive my rudeness. There are so many elves running about, and I've been waiting for. It's simply been so hectic. I never thought. But please, pardon my terrible manners. I am just the quartermaster, a simple man. No one special.
So, this is essentially the person that does a racist thing and then knows that maybe being racist is bad and not cool, and then gets called out on it by somebody who's in a position of power and quickly backpedals. And there is a tendency for us to get mad about that and to maybe shit all over this guy and be like, you're a piece of shit, man. Fuck you. But I don't know that that helps. Like his willingness to backpedal and be like, oh, I'm not racist, I promise. I'm just a quartermaster. I'm sorry. There's elves everywhere. And I thought maybe you were one of them or whatever. Like, we could probably say to him, like, dude, you maybe ought to consider holding elves in higher regard so this shit doesn't happen anymore. But we have an opportunity to alter this guy. Here's the most important part of this. I have an opportunity right now as an elf in a position of power relative to this guy to change some of the representation he has of elves. This guy likely has only ever seen elves in positions of servitude, probably has been told that elves are there by choice because they're technically free, they don't have to do this, and maybe has even had them represented as barbaric. So my opportunity here is to show this guy, I'm not that. And your preconceived notions about elves are actually limited to your isolated experience. And that's not healthy for you because it's going to get you in trouble. So what we're asking this guy to do, by maybe engaging with him differently, given that we're in a position of leverage, is to break down some of that single story he has of elves so that he can see elves as capable of being a Grey Warden. Think of how this is essentially me in a way advocating for my own people here by saying, dude, every elf you come across isn't necessarily a servant and isn't a barbarian. Like, we are very capable people, and you would do well to appreciate that and to change your preconceived notions about this. So, as hard as it is, you want to get angry about this, I'm going to use this opportunity because I'm in a position of power relative to him. If I was still in a subjugated position, I wouldn't do this because that could be dangerous to me. Perhaps you should treat your servants more kindly.
Yes, of course, you're very right. Did you come for some supplies, perhaps?
No, I really mean it. Treat them better. Don't ever let me catch you treating them like shit ever again.
Arms and armor, for the most part. It's for the King's men, but you Grey Wardens can buy what you need for a modest price. I also have some goods on the side I can provide. Strictly off the record, of course. To keep morale up, you understand.
Nice. Been looking for a good fleshlight.
Let me know what you'd like.
Alright, he's got armor, blood dragon plate, which I can't wear and I already have. Bari crunch. I don't know that any of this is particularly useful to me. Studded leather greaves. Or no, that's what I have. No, that's my partner. Jesus, I'm an idiot. That's what I have. Not what he has. Great sword, long sword. Soldier's helm. Ooh, requires 20 strength, so I'm not strong enough for that yet. Scale gloves. That's not that useful to me. Battle axe. Yeah, I'm not strong enough. I'm not strong enough for most of this stuff. That's okay. Backpack. Carrying large each backpack purchased automatically increases inventory capacity by 10. That's helpful. I'm gonna sell this because I don't need it. Lyrium is not what I need. Milky Way Stone of Unremarkable. I don't know this. I'm just gonna sell this stuff because it's taking up inventory spots. Spirit Shard gives user small bonus to spirit resistance for a short time. I could probably sell dagger. Your Warden dagger, aged. Leather helm, leather gloves, mom's boots, leather armor. This shield because it's not any good relative to mine. Sell my wedding clothes. Don't need that shit. Don't need that. Don't need that. Okay. I mean, I suppose I could sell the studded leather too because it's not really. Maybe not. 38 gold for the blood dragon plate. God damn. Let's take a look here. What can I afford that I might need? I don't know. I don't think he has really anything. Maybe the backpack slot feels like it would be useful to have. Let me see what your other goods
Hello
are.
again. Is there something you need? So long as you keep it quiet.
Alright, so if you were to ask him to look differently at elves to move beyond his bias, shouldn't we as an elf do the same with humans? It's a more complicated question than you might realize, Floaty. So, yes and no. That was kind of what I was talking about when we were talking to Win, right? That, like, I can appreciate that there are humans here who are willing to engage with me differently, and all of us should be aware of our biases. At the same time, because elves are a marginalized group relative to humans, we have to be extra careful because it could be dangerous for an elf to give a human the benefit of the doubt. So yes, we do need to consider our biases, but we also need to realize the relative dominance of groups, because when you're in a subjugated group that could be harmed at any time, like when we were in the Alien Age, it's not necessarily safe for us to just automatically assume that humans are safe. Humans are not entitled to that until they show us otherwise. What are your other goods? Rock salve, longsword of Hightower, or High Ever. Raider helmet. Raider. Okay. Dark robe. And this is useful to me right now. Alright. Treat your elves better, buddy. Tranquil.
Welcome, young man.
Who are you?
I am one of the Tranquil, my friend. I am of the Circle of Magi. But instead of casting spells and reading tomes, I spend my time enchanting. It is a time-consuming process, but invaluable. Enchantment provides the Circle its wealth. Certainly we would not get by on charity.
I should go. You speak very strangely. Why is... No. What is enchantment? There's no reason for me to say this. Absolutely none. If you can't change it in 5 minutes, don't comment on it.
It is the practice of folding magical lyrium into items first practiced by the dwarves. The Tranquil have learned their runes, and we use them to apply a variety of magical effects. We create the glow lights, as well as the magic staff, or the flaming blade. The irony, perhaps, is that it is our very disconnection to our former talents that allows the Tranquil to work with lyrium so. A true mage could not.
What kind of enchantments are there?
Runes exist that hold the power of the elements that increase strength or swiftness. Almost any spell can be given permanency, given enough skill and lyrium. Naturally, the greater the power required, the more expensive the rune will become to create. True power comes with a price, as we know only too well. Goodbye.
I should go. Alright. Really, the only reason that guy makes me uncomfortable is just because I haven't seen people talk like that in this world, but there's nothing inherently wrong with it other than it makes me uncomfortable, so in a lot of ways, me pointing that out is selfish. There's really not much reason for me to say anything to him about that. It doesn't add to the conversation. We don't know him that well.
I think it's wonderful you became a Grey Warden.
Thanks, man. These are my people.
Hello. It really is good to see more elves here. I'm sorry, but there's so much to do before the battle. I must attend to my duties or I'll get the switch.
Alright, so elves are still not treated particularly well here in Ostagar. Duly noted. Duly noted. Sucks, man. See, the real kicker here about why I think it's generally going to be hard for humans to get on board with treating elves fairly is because there is the illusion that the elves are servants by choice. They were freed. So it's very easy now for humans to blame elves for their position, because now it is seen as an act of personal agency to be in servitude rather than something that's by force. if they're slaves, then humans can't really be, I mean, they can be shitty to them for other reasons, but they know in the back of their mind that the elves don't have a choice because they're slaves. Now, this gets really intense because these elves are essentially trapped in indentured servitude and they are not treated particularly well, and then they're told it's their fault because they chose this. When in reality, that's not the case. They weren't given the resources to be able to get ahead and equalize the hierarchy. They were just given a symbolic gesture of freedom. And certainly, Mavers, you are correct that me being a Grey Warden can be inspirational to people that are within the same group that I am in. And I would like to use my position to hopefully advocate for them, because I'm not even just changing my representation for them, I'm changing it for humans.
What is it now? Haven't Grey Wardens asked more than enough of the Circle?
I simply came to deliver a message from the revered mother, Sir Mage. She desires your presence.
What her reverence desires is of no concern to me. I am busy helping the Grey Wardens, by the King's orders, I might add.
Should I have asked her to write a note?
Tell her I will not be harassed in this manner.
Yes, I was harassing you by delivering a message.
Your glibness does you no credit.
Here I thought we were getting along so well. I was even going to name one of my children after you. The Grumpy One.
Enough.
Burn.
I will speak to the woman if I must. Get out of my way, fool.
You know, one good thing about the Blight is how it brings people together.
Sorry, what?
Oh, nothing. Just trying to find a bright side to all this. Wait, we haven't met, have we? I don't suppose you happen to be another mage?
Nope. Would that make your day worse?
Hardly. I just like to know my chances of being turned into a toad at any given moment. Wait, I do know who you are. You're Duncan's new recruit. The elf from Denerim. I should have recognized you right away. I apologize.
It's alright. Why would I expect you? I don't take any offense to you not recognizing me. It's all good.
Good. You didn't exactly catch me at my finest with the mage there. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Alistair, the new Grey Warden. Though I guess you knew that. As the junior member of the Order, I'll be accompanying you when you prepare for the joining.
Okay. What can you tell me about the joining?
Honestly, nothing. Try not to worry about it. It will just distract you. So I'm curious. Have you ever actually encountered Darkspawn before?
Nope.
When I fought my first one, I wasn't prepared for how monstrous it was. I can't say I'm looking forward to encountering another. Anyhow, whenever you're ready, let's get back to Duncan. I imagine he's eager to get things started.
I'm gonna be a little nosy here. What was that argument about? You don't have to tell me, but I'm curious.
With the mage, the Circle is here at the King's request, and the Chantry doesn't like that one bit. They just love letting mages know how unwelcome they are, which puts me in a bit of an awkward position. I was once a Templar.
Oh, that would be awkward.
I'm sure the revered mother meant it as an insult, sending me as her messenger, and the mage picked right up on that. I never would have agreed to deliver it, but Duncan says we're all to cooperate and get along. Apparently they didn't get the same speech.
About the other recruits?
Davith and Sir Jory are here in the camp. Have you met them?
No, I have not. Well, I met Davith, I think.
Keep an eye out. Maybe we'll see one of them.
You don't have to accompany me, do you? Yeah, it's not a bad question to ask.
Don't worry. I'll try not to embarrass you.
Cool. Well, let's go then.
If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, lead on.
Alright, when you're not controlling them, party members act accordingly to the tactics you set. Set Alistair by left-clicking on him in his portrait. Now open the tactics screen by clicking the highlighted icon and pressing, or by pressing slash. Forward slash? You can use conditional tactic slots to design custom behavior for each character, or simply select the preset tactics. Change Alistair's preset to Defender. Oh my god, this is crazy complex.
Here.
You know, one good thing about the Blight is how it brings people together. Alistair was a novice Templar when Duncan recruited him to the Grey Wardens, or rescued him, as Alistair would say. That's all we get, huh? Level up. Neato. Level 3 warrior. Let's go. I need that strength. Oh shit, I've got a lot of attributes here. Alright, I've got one skill to use. Stealing, trap making. Poison making, combat tactics. The character can formulate strategies quickly in battle and consequently gains a combat tactics slot. Improved combat training. Second tier weapon talents as well as a bonus to stamina regeneration. That seems useful. Warrior. Precise striking makes each attack count, sacrificing attack speed for a bonus to attack. As well as an increased chance to score critical hits for as long as this mode is active. Striking, dual weapon swap, shield bash. Character bashes the target, dealing normal damage as well as knocking it off its feet. That seems useful. Shield pummel. The character follows up an attack with 2 hits from the shield, dealing normal damage with each attack. If the target fails a physical resistance check, it is stunned. Shield mastery doubles the character's strength bonus for each strike. We're going sword and board all the way, so. Okay, cool. Oh, hi there. Oh, that's me. I don't want to play as Alistair.
Yes?
Alright, let's learn a little bit about him, huh? Careful, Zebo, don't spoil. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
As I said, I was trained as a Templar before Duncan recruited me about 6 months ago. The Chantry raised me. And becoming a Templar was a decision made for me a long time ago. Duncan saw I wasn't happy, and figured my training against mages could double for fighting Darkspawn. Now, here I stand, a proud Grey Warden. The Grand Cleric wouldn't have let me go if Duncan never forced the issue. I'll always be grateful to him.
Okay, so he's glad. So Duncan essentially did some version of, for him, of what he did for me, but it was under an entirely different circumstance. You speak fondly of Duncan.
I spent years in that Chantry, hopelessly resigned to my fate. Duncan was the first person who cared what I wanted. He risked a lot of trouble with the Grand Cleric to help me.
You didn't want to join the Chantry.
It just wasn't for me. I believe in the Maker well enough, but I never wanted to devote my life to the Chantry. What about? So I imagine. What would you like to know?
What makes you all so special? I'm not sure I know anything about the Grey Wardens.
Well, let's see. Surely you've heard of Weishaupt Fortress? The great eyrie carved into the White Cliffs far off in the Anderfels? That's where the Grey Wardens once kept their griffins. The griffins died out, however, and our numbers have dwindled since the last Blight. There's only a handful left in Ferelden. A few more in other nations.
Where are they now?
The others are camped with the King's soldiers in the valley. The King's given us a position of honor at the vanguard, despite our small numbers. I think Kalen is actually excited to ride into battle with us. Maybe he thinks that's what his father would have done.
So the Grey Wardens have the right to recruit anyone.
King Marek Kaelin's father, reaffirmed the power the Grey Wardens were given during the Blights. In practice, we can't conscript too often without hurting our cause. We were exiled from Ferelden once. Best not to let that happen again.
I would love to know more about that.
You want to ask me about something else?
Yeah, the blight that Duncan
Of
mentioned.
course.
So what is it? And where did the Darkspawn come from?
You want the Chantry's version or the truth?
They're not the same thing?
They seldom are.
Well, give me the truth then.
The truth is, we don't really know. They come up from the ground, and that's as far as we've gotten.
What's the Chantry's version then?
According to the Chant of Light, the Maker imprisoned the old gods underground long ago, as punishment for tricking mankind into worshipping them. The old gods still whispered to some men and taught them magic. These men became the Magisters of the Tevinter Empire. The Magisters used their gift to enter the Golden City, tainting it and themselves. They were cast out by the Maker and became the first Darkspawn. They fled underground, bringing their taint to their gods. The tainted old gods were the archdemons who rose from their prisons and led the Darkspawn against the world.
Very important right now for me to point something out, which is the importance of being first to describing an unknown phenomenon. When we talked to Wynn and then read about the Fade and all of this stuff in the Darkspawn, it was very easy for us to believe that what we read was the truth, because we didn't know any different. It's an uncertain thing, something we've never heard of before, and we got a very clear, concise, direct answer. The reason that is important is because if you're the Chantry, you want people to get that message, because there's probably an agenda behind that message, but you want people to line up with that, because then that is the foundation through which they compare every other piece of information you ever get about the Blights. So if for some reason the Chantry has a political motive to have people terrified of the way that they conceptualize the Blight happening, maybe as a way to control the masses and what they pay attention to and pray to or support or whatever it may be, your goal is to get that story out as fast as possible, because the idea that we don't know what it is, if that's the first thing you hear, then it makes you skeptical of anything else you hear. We are all subject to this. When I read that codex entry, I was like, oh wow, right? Like I took that as reality, and Alistair just sowed a seed of doubt in that. And it's on us to be mindful of the way that we can open ourselves to alternative explanations for things as possibilities, not necessarily as de facto truth, but having diverse stories around this thing is going to help us maybe realize that this is still something that we haven't pinned down, and that's okay. But ultimately, humans, elves, etc. want to have answers. We don't like unknowns because it sows anxiety into us. So getting that story at the outset as clearly and detailed in its writing is very important, because it closes those gaps, and people will double down into that story because the idea of cracking back up into unknowns is scary. And this was a really great example of how that process works. It absolutely extends into first impressions on people, Dara. Yes. First impressions are deeply important. Getting out in front of stuff is really important. That's why a lot of times you will see certain organizations try to target people who are young, because they don't have a diverse array of explanations for things, and it's very easy to get them locked in when you're young, because then everything else is filtered against that initial read on stuff. And it takes a lot of cognitive effort in order to break through it. So that was the first Blight?
Yes, and it nearly wiped us out. When defeated, the Darkspawn flee back underground and seek out another old god to taint, thus bringing another Blight.
Why not kill the Darkspawn when they're underground? This feels like a dumb question, but I am curious.
They've controlled the deep roads ever since they defeated the Dwarven kingdoms. Even if we invaded, we can only chase them so far.
Okay. So what's an archdemon?
The old gods were dragons, so the stories say. Big ones. Intelligent, even. The Tevinter Empire had big statues of them. Each dragon had a name and a place in the cosmos. It's all very intricate. The archdemons may not be the old gods, but they're definitely dragons.
Where's the archdemon for this blight, do you know?
We haven't seen it yet. People are beginning to think this is just an unusually large Darkspawn raid without an archdemon to unify them. But seriously, the archdemon could be in the wilds or underground. It could be hiding. Just because it hasn't shown itself doesn't mean it isn't out there.
Wow. So why are people so skeptical?
The Grey Wardens killed so many Darkspawn by the end of the last Blight. People decided they were gone for good. Of course.
So how do Grey Wardens defeat blights?
We chop off the snake's head. It's the only way. According to texts, the most famous Grey Warden leader, Garahel, killed the Archdemon Underal in personal combat at the Battle of Aesley to end the last Blight. Without the Archdemon to command them, the Darkspawn flee back underground.
How did everyone even know about this blight?
The Grey Wardens keep watch. We feel the Darkspawn when they come. You'll understand after the joining, if you... well, you'll understand. Not to mention people start to notice when Darkspawn pour out of the wilds and taint everything around them. Just a guess.
That's fair. How many Darkspawn are there?
Thousands. Tens of thousands. They've had centuries to build up their numbers. You want to ask me about something else?
Tell me a little bit about Duncan, big guy.
Duncan is the leader of the Grey Wardens in Ferelden. Which he would say doesn't mean much, as there aren't many of us here. Yet, beyond that, he's a good man. A good judge of character. I owe him a lot. What about you? What do you think of him?
Very interesting, right? So we have two very different perceptions of the same person. And that's okay. Because Alistair's interactions with Duncan were meaningful to him. Just because mine were not doesn't negate that this guy had a positive influence on Alistair. Now, he asked me directly what I think of him, and I believe it prudent for me to speak openly about this. Like, if we're all going into war against the Darkspawn together, I don't need to beat around the bush here. And Alistair has been willing to answer my questions truthfully, so I'm going to be honest with him. I can't say I care for him much. He has not really done well for advocating for me, and I'm mostly here against my will because he wasn't willing to stand up to a couple guards when I was in Denerim.
Fair enough. He's done the best he can with what little he has. And that includes me, I guess. You want to ask me about something else?
All right, right. So Alistair respects... that's cool, right? Like, he doesn't get to decide what my experience of Duncan is just because his was a good one. And I appreciate that Alistair is willing to just let my experience be what it is. We both just mutually validated each other's experience of Duncan. And we don't need to fight about that. We don't need to have a war about whether Duncan's a good guy or not right now. It's not really useful to us. So we now know, though, here's what you have to listen for in between the lines, though, in something like this. If push comes to shove, and perhaps Duncan says something that's in direct conflict to maybe what my wishes might be, or to what my convictions are, Alistair is likely to side with Duncan. So as I get to know these people in this camp, what I'm doing is I'm creating a mental hierarchical structure. Who is likely to side with who based on the information that I have? I do not want to overestimate my self-importance relative to the people who are in this camp, because that would not be prudent for me to do. Alistair is going to go with Duncan and likely give him the benefit of the doubt over me until we build enough rapport that maybe Alistair comes over to giving me the benefit of the doubt. So I file that away in my back pocket. Doesn't mean I have to do anything about it. Doesn't mean I have to worry about anything. But we need to listen for what people's orientations are to other people as we ask these questions so that we can anticipate a little bit of what's going to go on in certain scenarios, particularly when shit hits the fan and people don't have the benefit of engaging their prefrontal cortex. Because people will default to their biases and to their experiences in those moments more so than they will to logistics.
I wish I could tell you more. Maybe ask me again after Duncan speaks to you about it. You want to ask me about something else?
This upcoming battle.
The one tomorrow. I'll tell you. It's Tern Loghain we should be looking to win it, not the king. Kaelin just wants his place in history. The Tern is planning the strategy. That's my opinion, anyway. I guess I should be thankful the king favors us Grey Wardens. But I know who's keeping the lid on the pot.
How much will I be participating?
You know, that's a good question. The other Grey Wardens are riding into battle with the king. I don't know if you'll be with them.
Interesting. Why is it happening here?
We're at the edge of the Korcari Wilds, the eye of the Blight Storm, right where the Horde will be coming. Ostagar itself is an excellent defensive position. The Wilders were pushed back from here time and again in ancient days.
What are the chances of success? Don't ever tell me the odds.
I'm sure Tern Loghain has the battle planned to the last detail. Still, no Blight has ever been defeated with so little cost.
What if we fail?
If we don't break the Horde here, Duncan says it will spread until it engulfs all of Ferelden. Then it will take an alliance of nations to fight it, which would be bad. Neither the king nor the Tern really seems to believe this is a real Blight, however.
I hope there's some political negotiation going on in the back end then, because that's gonna suck.
You want to ask me about something else? Of course. You want to ask me about something else?
Alright, we're good.
Then let's get a move on, shall we?
Alright, thank you for the information, Alistair. I appreciate it. Alistair disapproves -5? Okay. I want to take a second just to say, those of you that are here live, thank you so much for being here on Twitch with me. I appreciate it so much. I've been really enjoying reading chat alongside this playthrough. And those of you that are watching this on YouTube, I hope you're enjoying this as well. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me and to watch this VOD. I realize that we're getting a lot of story. There's not a ton of action right now, but this is where the good stuff is. So thanks so much for supporting my content. I really appreciate it. And for those of you that have followed and subbed, if I haven't called that out or rated, thank you so much for all of your support in those ways. It means a lot to me. Really grateful that you trust your communities with me and that you are willing to spend some of your hard-earned money to support me. All right, I don't want to talk to...
Sons and daughters, we who betrayed your prophet Andraste now beg your forgiveness. Do not abandon us in our darkest hour. Watch over the valiant King Kaelin and guide him as he faces this terrible evil. Watch over Tern Loghain and give him the wisdom to bring us victory against the Scourge of Shadow. Watch over Ferelden, the homeland of Holy Andraste. Keep her people safe from the Darkspawn. Let us bow our heads and offer prayers to the Maker, that he might find us worthy.
Oh, alright. Getting a little meaning before battle, nothing wrong with that.
Well met.
Who are you? The Kennel Master.
This isn't good. I'd hate to waste such a promising member of the breed. Are you the new warden? I could use some help.
What's up?
This is a Mabari. Smart breed and strong. His owner died in the last battle, and the poor hound swallowed Darkspawn blood. I have medicine that might help, but I need him muzzled first.
Looks like you need your armor to make it up its mind of what it wants to be too, buddy. Why do you think I could do it?
You're a Grey Warden, or soon will be. All Wardens are immune to the Darkspawn taint. The most you have to worry about is some tooth marks.
I'm not a Grey Warden yet. I'm just a recruit.
Nope, dogs and I don't get along. You do it if you're so eager. Just leave me out of it.
How smart's the dog?
Centuries ago, a mage bred them to be smart and understand what they're told. They can remember and carry out complex orders. Most valuable dogs in the world. Trouble is, they generally imprint on one master. Re-imprinting them is very difficult. But without the medicine, re-imprinting won't be an issue. Will you help?
Will he be imprinted to me?
We can try, but first we need to muzzle and medicate him.
Alright, I'll give it a shot.
Go in the pen and let him smell you. We'll know right away if he'll respond. Let's hope this works. I'd really hate to have to put him down. I gave you the muzzle. Go in and see if you can calm or subdue the dog. Then you'll be able to put it on him.
Dog looks at you respectfully, backing down from its aggressive stance. You can see intelligence in its eyes as well as a great deal of pain. This animal is very ill. No shit, look at it. Jesus Christ. Just kill the dog? Good God. This animal is, oh boy. The Mabari growls weakly but does not challenge you. After you are done, he whimpers plaintively.
Well done. Now I can treat the dog properly, poor fella. Come to think of it, are you heading into the wilds anytime soon?
I might be. Why?
There's a particular herb I could use to improve the dog's chances. It's a flower that grows in the swamps here, if I remember. If you happen across it, I could use it. It's very distinctive, all white with a blood-red center.
I think I got nothing better to do. Why don't you get it yourself? Will the dog be alright without it?
If he doesn't get it, chances are he'll need to be put down.
Where would I find this flower?
It usually grows in dead wood that collects at the edge of ground pools. Should be plenty this time of year.
Alright, I'll see if I can find it.
In the meantime, I'll begin treating our poor friend.
Alright, I can do that. Not hurting anybody. Okay, so there's Duncan. Let's...
You there, elf. What's your name?
Ash Warrior.
If you have business with the Ash Warriors, I suggest you
that the
speak
war
to our
party's ready to
commander.
begin scouting. We'll send word if we find anything amiss.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
You gonna talk to me like that?
Maker's breath, another elf. What do you want?
Happen to be a Grey Warden, human, not some servant.
Congratulations. Not bad for an elf. Is there something you wanted? We have no time for idle chatter.
Alright, so this is a guy who maybe is not going to be particularly open to conversations about racism, which doesn't mean we shouldn't have them, but it means we got to be a little more careful. Hey, can I ask you something?
Make it quick.
Why are you racist? What are you prepping for?
To scout the wilds and watch the progression of the Darkspawn horde. With luck, we'll find and slaughter many stragglers. The hunt will be good if my hound survives the blood of his prey. If he dies, I shall mourn tonight.
Okay, so... I'll say this now, before we go farther into this conversation, but... Remember I was talking about mental mapping of the structure of this camp? This guy, when push comes to shove, I'm not going to trust him to try to save me. So if he's out in the scouting party and he's with me, I am not about to give this guy the benefit of the doubt that he's going to help me out, because there's a chance that his bias is going to show through. Maybe he breaks through it, maybe he helps me out, but not with how he is engaged with me. I am seen as less than in his mind. If he can save himself, a fellow human, somebody in his group, he's going to do that before he's going to save me, so I'm not going to rely on this guy.
Darkspawn blood is poisonous, but not always fatal. Those who survive grow immune to its effects. The Wardens say that tainted blood drives even the survivors mad eventually. But not today. Today, we hunt and we kill.
Alright, I'm gonna go.
My thanks. There is hunting to be done, and I'll not be kept from it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really care about why he painted his dogs. Alright, so the mods are not playing super nice right now with some of my stuff, but that's okay. Royal Knight.
Well met, my lord.
What up? 8 guard. Man, this area is huge.
Hail.
you're one of Duncan's new recruits, correct? I can't let you through to the Korkari Wilds until he gives the word.
Why not?
The Korkari Wilds is a dangerous place. More so now that it crawls with darkspawn. They say the Great Blight began deep within its forests. One of our scouting patrols has been gone for 3 days. We're taking bets on who got them first, the darkspawn or the Witches of the Wilds.
Witches of the Wilds?
Oh, sure. There's an old legend in these parts about Flemeth, the apostate sorceress who conquered this area centuries ago. She united the chasing barbarians and invaded the farmlands. That's when the great hero, Cormac, destroyed her army with his. Took her head right off, so they say. Her daughters survived and became the Witches of the Wild. Tales tell of them plaguing this area since. Mostly superstitions, stealing babies and spoiling milk.
You think they exist?
Only when it's dark and the wind is bad. No doubt those patrols met some darkspawn. That's enough for anyone to worry about. At any rate, that's why Duncan doesn't want you wandering out without his say-so.
Fair. Okay. I respect it. Thanks for being honest. This area is so big.
You may not want to remain here long, Warden. Most of these men have been tainted by the Darkspawn blood.
Damn.
I can't feel it.
Oh, man.
You need to convince them. We've got to run. The Darkspawn are coming.
Why do you say that?
I saw them. We're gonna die.
I apologize, Warden. He's been like this ever since they found him in the wilds.
Is it possible that he has important information? That's a pretty prudent question.
The commander who brought him here didn't seem to think so.
You can feel it, can't you? They taint the land, turn it black and sick. Oh, you can feel it inside. They'll come out of that forest and spread. Like caterpillars covering a tree. They'll swallow us whole.
That's quite enough out of you. You need to calm yourself, my good man.
They were everywhere. I saw them.
That poor guy. Man. Such a complex crossroads for that guy to be in. We have no way of knowing whether this guy is of sound mind and body or not. This guy could be talking 100% truthfully to his experience. And imagine how awful and lonely it would be to be trying to tell people about your experience, to be warning them about what could happen, and they just ignore you and tell you to calm down. It's terrible. At the same time, you do have to be careful because you're like, well, we can't just necessarily believe this guy straight up and make a bunch of administrative decisions based on what he says. Like, he's one guy. We don't know if he's of sound-minded body, which is why it would be ideal to have somebody who could do some form of psychological evaluation on this guy to see what's going on. But his shakenness on this is real. His experience is real, and it is important for us to treat that. And I don't mean treat that in like a clinical sense. I mean treat that as in like listen to it and validate it and accept his experience for what it is. Maybe there's something for us to learn from that. If we have enough people that come back saying the same kind of shit he is, then we need to take that seriously. But regardless, we need to take this guy's experience seriously. I hear that you're scared. I appreciate you telling us what went on. Maybe we're going to look into it. Can't promise we're going to make any decisions. But it matters that you're sharing this, and I appreciate that. Very, very, very important to validate that for this guy so he doesn't continue to feel like he's on an island. It's only going to make things worse. But he's definitely shaken, right? He experienced some kind of trauma.
It's good to have Grey Wardens amongst us. With their help, perhaps we can push these things back underground for good.
Ah, I suspect you are one of the new Grey Wardens. Will you accept the Maker's blessing?
You administer blessings to elves, huh?
I merely pass on the Maker's blessings. He looks kindly on all who will receive him.
Does he destroy the homeland? She's just the messenger. There's no point in me being shitty with her. I'm just not interested. I'm just gonna move on. There's no point in me fighting this battle.
Then begone, heathen.
That the Grey Wardens accept the likes of you is forever their greatest weakness.
We just learned a lot about her, huh? Wow! Begone, heathen, you piece of shit. Jesus. Accept my religion or fuck you. Who's this guy?
Huh. Someone finally comes and talks to the lone prisoner. I don't suppose you've come to sentence me.
No.
I don't suppose you have a bit of kindness in you. All I want is food and water. They haven't fed me since I was locked up and I'm starving.
Why he's in that cell is inconsequential to meeting his need for food and water. If this guy hasn't been sentenced, it means that he's innocent until proven guilty. So why he's in the cage is not an important consideration for me to make of whether I want to get this guy food and water. Literally has no bearing. In fact, I would argue I'm a dick if I ask this guy why you're in there. And if he goes, oh, I'm in here because I murdered somebody, I go, well then, you know, no food for you then. Like, that's me making a that's not my place to make that judgment. Why haven't they fed you?
I expect nobody thought of it with all the battles and such.
Okay. I'll see what I can do then.
Just ask my guard for his. He's still got some dinner. I saw him put it in his coat.
Lucky dog. You Grey Wardens get to ride with the king while I'm left with the drudgery of guarding this deserter. They should have just hanged him. Put his head on a pike as an example.
Deserter. Tell me a little bit about him.
They say he was recruited before the war up in Dinnerham. Probably figured he'd never have to fight if he served the king, right?
You know why he wanted to desert?
Why does anyone want to desert? Because he thinks he's going to die and he's a bloody coward, that's why. Either that or he's been listening to a bunch of hogwash about how the Darkspawn will drag you off and eat you.
It's a very institutionalized, manipulative act. Think about that for a second. So, you're part of this group. You've never, ever come across Darkspawn before. You've only ever heard about it. You join the Grey Wardens for whatever kind of reason, thinking that you can handle it. You go through the training, you go through the joining, you do whatever it is that you got to do in order to do that. You get out in the battlefield, you freak out, your fight or flight response goes in, you go, nope, this doesn't feel right for me, and you try to survive and you run. And you are heavily punished by the institution for that. You are locked in a cage, hung for everybody to see, not given food or water. That is an act that is designed to get people to be afraid to act autonomously within the ranks, which to some extent makes sense because you can't just have a bunch of people dissenting, but that is more an indictment on the system. That maybe these guys weren't as informed on what he was going into. Maybe he wasn't ready. But the prisoner here is designed to send a message to everybody else. That you are better off throwing your body at the Darkspawn and dying than you are trying to run and save yourself. Because if you do that, we will make an example of you. It's really tricky. I realize I'm talking about this in a very black and white way, but desertion to me suggests that this guy was not prepared properly for what it was that he was signing up for. And I would be curious to know more about why that guy made that decision, what kind of insight he has into it, what were the ramifications of it. Right? Like, he's not a Grey Warden. So if he's just a regular dude and we're holding him to an even higher standard, that's pretty brutal. I talked with him.
Don't expect it was an enlightening conversation.
Asked for some food and water.
Did he now? Since nobody sends me nothing to feed him with, the only way we'll get that is if I give him mine.
You miss one meal. This guy could be hanged soon. Come on.
All right, all right. I guess the poor fella could stand to have one meal in his belly before he hangs. Don't know why you care.
You could ask why I care.
It, if anyone asks why he's burping, I'm gonna say it was you. Just so you know.
Okie dokie, buddy.
So? Brought me some food, have you? I'm so hungry I could faint dead away. Much obliged. You're a kind soul, you are. May Andraste herself rain blessings upon you.
All right.
My belly thanks you. At least if I'm hanged, I'll have a little weight on me.
Yeah, all right. Nothing wrong with that. Not really into the idea of this guy just being, like, jailed as an example. Like, the dude, I don't know. Is he in there? Oh, come on. Okay. Is he in there for rehabilitation? Probably not.
I feel ill at ease about the coming battle. I pray the Maker will watch over us all.
Me too, man.
Sorry, the main army camp is off limits for you right now.
Okay. I think we might be about ready. Imagine if every couple of decades an apocalypse started and you were conscripted to battle it. I would hate that. King's personal guard.
Greetings. King Kalen is not in his tent right now.
Tell me a little bit about him, huh? You must see him a lot.
I suppose I do, though he's spending most of his time with the Grey Wardens. He rides with them wherever they go, in fact. Teyrn Loghain sees the king whenever he can and argues with him over coming battles, but the king just waves him off. The king wants to end the Blight with a single huge battle the bards will sing of for centuries. Do you think that's possible?
I guess we'll find. How should I know, dude? I don't know.
I thought Grey Wardens knew all about the Darkspawn. The king thought it was funny that Teyrn called him reckless, and they fought about the queen.
They fight often?
More than usual lately. Good thing the Teyrn's the only one who can speak to the king like that.
I should go.
As you wish. You approach the tent of Teyrn Loghain. State your business.
What's he doing? Tell me a little bit about him. I don't know much about him.
How can you not know of Loghain? He helped free Ferelden. He
I'm
was
an
the
elf!
brains behind King Marik's armies and drove out those damned Orlesians. King Marik rewarded him by making him a Teyrn. Can you imagine? A commoner became a high nobleman just like that. Without Loghain, you can bet the king wouldn't be winning against these Darkspawn.
What's he doing in there?
He's inside, but I don't think it's my place to discuss his activity.
Come on. Tell me a little bit about what's going on. I'd like an audience with him, please. Oh, there's no way he's going to give me this. I mean, I'm new. Maybe he will.
I suppose you have a message for him. Hold on, then.
It worked. What's up, dude?
Yes, what is it? Oh, you're Duncan's new Grey Warden, I assume.
I am indeed. Well, I'm not a Grey Warden yet, but yeah.
You impressed His Majesty nonetheless. He could not contain his excitement over your meeting. Kaelin's fascination with the Wardens goes beyond the ordinary. Are you aware his father brought your order back to Ferelden?
I did not.
Marek respected the Grey Wardens. They have an honored place in the hearts of our people. But Marek would have understood that it takes more than legends to win a battle. That's not an argument I'll repeat here. You have some experience to bring to the Wardens, do you? You don't seem half as green as most of the men here. I don't suppose you'll be riding into the thick of battle with the rest of your fellows, will you?
I don't know.
If Kaelin has his way, you will. Now I must return to my task. Pray that our king proves amenable to wisdom, if you're the praying sort.
And if he doesn't? Ooh, this is an interesting one. He's a bit hard to read. He speaks matter-of-factly, yet somewhat cryptically, passively alludes to things. You don't seem very fond of him. Let's see how he responds to this.
He is Marek's son and the leader of my beloved Ferelden, and a very young man. I try to keep that in mind, as should you.
Fair. I appreciate your attention to development, Mr. Loghain. King Merrick Theron. It is difficult to separate the man from the myth. The last survivor of the bloodline of King Calenhad, the Silver Knight, Merrick drove the Orlesian forces from Ferelden's borders, reclaimed the throne, and freed our people from foreign tyranny. All true and all larger than life. He was born in hiding near Cathal's Crossing to the rebel Queen Mora, and grew up in the rebel camps, an outlaw in his own country. When the rebel queen died, Merrick inherited her homeless nobles, malcontents, and displaced freeholders, and with the aid of his friend Loghain MacTyr, built them into an army. After the pivotal battle of River Dane, Merrick took the throne. He married Rowan, daughter of Rendorn Garin, Arl of Redcliffe, and began the long, slow process of rebuilding everything Orlais had demolished during 70 years of occupation. Interesting. Alright. What's going on up here?
Look carefully, man. This wretched thing is a darkspawn. They're strong and cunning and smart, but don't listen to those old wives' tales. They can be killed. Stick them with your sword enough, and they go down. Their blood is black as sin and poisonous. Don't even touch it. You get tainted with that blood, and you may as well slit your throat. We've lost many dogs already. Had to muzzle them to keep them from biting. It's a long and painful way to die.
Whoa. Let's take a look. As I just step in the blood. Kinda ugly.
Well, don't touch the carcass. We'll be burning it so it doesn't infect anything.
Should I wash my boots? Just asking for a friend.
This is supposed to be the battle that sends these Darkspawn back underground. You believe that?
I don't know what to believe. We've won every battle, but there's more of them each time.
Makes you wonder if them Grey Wardens are right.
I don't want to think about that.
Sounds like the perfect time to get drunk, if you ask me. Good night for it, Warden.
Alright, let's go talk to Duncan. I think we've seen everything there is to see. We just spent a good, what, hour and a half in this camp? There's so much here.
Well, in for a silver, in for a crown, as my dear mum always used to say.
Dude, the Grey Wardens can make square fire. That's kind of cool.
You found Alistair, did you? Good. I'll assume you're ready to begin preparations. Assuming, of course, that you're quite finished riling up mages, Alistair.
What can I say? The revered mother ambushed me. The way she wields guilt, they should stick her in the army.
She forced you to sass the mage, did she? We cannot afford to antagonize anyone, Alistair. We don't need to give anyone more ammunition against us.
I apologize, Duncan. I'll go collect who we're missing. This is Sir Jory, a knight from Redcliffe.
How'd you do?
And this, of course, is the recruit that Duncan said he was bringing.
I'm Mick. Pleased to meet you.
Now then, since you're all here, we can begin. You four will be heading into the Korcari Wilds to perform 2 tasks. The first is to obtain 3 vials of Darkspawn blood, 1 for each recruit.
You gonna make me drink that shit?
For the joining itself. I'll explain more once you've returned.
Vials of blood, joining. I'm getting transfusion vibes here. Just saying. Surely you could have acquired some blood before now.
Of course. You must work together to collect the components, however. It's as much a part of the joining as what comes after.
What's the second task?
There was once a Grey Warden archive in the wilds, abandoned long ago when we could no longer afford to maintain such remote outposts. It has recently come to our attention that some scrolls have been left behind, magically sealed to protect them. Alistair, I want you to retrieve these scrolls if you can.
What are the scrolls?
Old treaties, if you're curious. Promises of support made to the Grey Wardens long ago. They were once considered only formalities. With so many having forgotten their commitments to us, I suspect it may be a good idea to have something to remind them with.
And if you can't find them?
It's possible the scrolls may have been destroyed or even stolen, though the seal's magic should have protected them. Only a Grey Warden can break such a seal.
I don't understand. Why leave such things in a ruin if they're so valuable?
It was assumed that we would someday return. A great many things were assumed that have not held true.
Is part of our joining too?
No, but the effort must be made. I have every confidence you are up to the task.
How are we gonna find it?
It will be an overgrown ruin by now, but the sealed chest should remain intact. Alistair will guide you to the area you need to search.
Find the archive and 3 vials of blood. Got it.
Watch over your charges, Alistair. Return quickly and safely.
We will.
Then may the Maker watch over your path. I will see you when you return.
Tainted blood. And some scrolls. Okie dokie. I got some new moves to try out, so that's neat. Where do I go? Duncan?
So you return from the wilds. Have you been successful?
Let me get back to that.
Then you'd best start soon. You don't want to be in the wilds when night falls.
Duncan, I literally walked over here, turned around, and came back. Ah, so you've returned from the wilds.
Hail. I'm told you all have business in the wilds. The gate's open for you. Just be careful out there. Even a Grey Warden won't be safe in the forest tonight.
Alright, here we go. I got a full-ass party here. Look at these guys. We got Jory, Davith, Alistair. Dude, we're ready to roll. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! And suddenly every wolf in the entire forest attacked. Yes. That was ridiculous. Good lord. Like they were waiting for us. God. Alright, well, wolves are now an endangered species in Ferelden after that. Oh, who's this guy? Oh no. Oh no! Sir, what happened here?
Who is that? Grey Wardens?
Well, he's not half as dead as he looks, is he?
My scouting band was attacked by Darkspawn. They came out of the ground. Please help me. I've got to return to camp.
We don't have time for this. Can we take him back? Why am I making this call? Alistair, can we do this? Is he cool? Is he poisoned? Is he tainted? Or do we have a problem? He's not that far from camp. Why? We can take you back, I guess.
If you just bandage me up, I can get back myself.
I have bandages in my pack.
Thank you. Oh, I've got to get out of here.
Okay, see you later, man. Have a good one.
Did you hear?
Adios.
An entire patrol of seasoned men killed by Darkspawn.
Calm down, Sir Jory. We'll be fine if we're careful.
Those soldiers were careful, and they were still overwhelmed. How many Darkspawn can the four of us slay? A dozen? 100? There's an entire army in these forests.
There are Darkspawn about, but we're in no danger of walking into the bulk of the Horde.
How do you know? I'm not a coward, but this is foolish and reckless. We should go back.
Boy. This guy has officially gone from soldier to liability. I hate to say that, but when we are in a position of like we gotta survive, we can't have this guy questioning this. Like he becomes a battlefield liability. You want to go back and deal with the consequences of that because you can't engage in this, then you go back. But if you're gonna stay here, you gotta commit, buddy. Because we can't be having this wishy-washiness here. Overcoming these dangers is probably part of the test, man. If we, also, you're working with like a potential threat. We don't even know.
That's true.
Know this. All Grey Wardens can sense Darkspawn. Whatever their cunning, I guarantee they won't take us by surprise. That's why I'm here.
You see, Sir Knight, we might die, but we'll be warned about it first.
That is reassuring.
That doesn't mean I'm here to make this easy, however. So let's get a move on.
Okay, so we can acknowledge this. Like, we can acknowledge for this guy that he's nervous. But again, it's like, look, we got to work with that anxiety, dude. Like, you could be anxious about this, but you can't ask what ifs. We need to focus on what's directly ahead of us. We work with the known variables, not the unknown variables. Darkspawn show up. We've got Alistair with us. This has been set up for us to be successful, we hope. And there's bound to be a testing portion of this. So it's okay for him to be nervous, but he does have to remember that, like, his response to that anxiety is what matters. It's probably good to be anxious. It means he's going to be on his toes. Man, they really got slaughtered, though, didn't they? I hope we're stronger than these guys. Hey, a wildflower.
Yes.
I think that's what I needed for that guy. Yeah, cool. Alright. So we got some ruins here. Oh, look at it! Alright, fellas. What do you think? You want to do this? Let's do this. On guard! Oh, there's a lot of them. Let's go. Wow. Oh! Oh my god, these guys are strong. Holy shit, these guys are strong. Oh! Oh! Oh, buddy. Alright, not terrible.
I'm off.
Vial of Darkspawn blood. There we go. We got some. We do need to get the vials, though. I think I mentioned this a long time ago, but the military were taught to use fear as a weapon. Yeah, I mean, that's probably what you should do, right? Like, that's curating a certain response to fear. So it makes a lot of sense why the military would do that, because you're going to feel it in a situation like this, right? Like, the Darkspawn are scary. We've been told that they're scary. They've killed a lot of people. So we need to figure out a way to harness that fear and use it to our advantage rather than succumb to it. Oh my god, oh shit. Oh, those guys are just hanging from that log.
Look there. Poor slobs. That just seems so excessive.
Yeah, I'd say so, Alistair. Alright, we're gonna let these guys come to us. I'm not really strong enough to tank these guys yet. Damn, these guys are huge. This is good though. This will build confidence in our ability to fight these guys. Like, we're making pretty quick work of them. More. Oh, look, they gotta fight wolves. Haha! Let them duke it out. Kill this guy. Oh shit! Oh shit! I love how the Darkspawn carry money. What purpose is there in Darkspawn carrying money? Oh yeah, I'll just sneak into Denerim and buy myself a nice shawl. Oh no, Missionary Rigby. Rigby's last will and testament. Ooh, let's read it. I want to read it because I'm nosy. What? To whoever finds this note, this is the last will and testament of Rigby the missionary, proud speaker of the Maker's word. I have come from the wilds to speak to the chant, but I fear I will die here at the hands of the dark spawn. I leave all that I came with to my wife Jeddah. Should the reader of this note feel charitable, I have buried a sealed lockbox in our camp, nestled in a Tavinta ruin in the western reaches of the wilds. It is my will that this lockbox finds my wife in Redcliffe, and that it is still sealed shut when it reaches her. To my wife and son I apologize that my work has taken me from you, but I know that I die in service to the Maker. Just in their guts like the license plate in Jaws, exactly. Alright, we got our 3 vials, so now we just have to find this overgrown temple. What the hell was that? You guys eat before you came out here? Oh. Thought that was somebody's tummy rumbling. Hey, Alistair, I thought you can feel them coming, dude. Why don't you be like, hey, my spidey senses are tingling and there seems to be some rogues afoot. I don't hear you saying shit to me, buddy. Rogues afoot. This is a cool area. Ambush reaction training. Yes, of course. Cool. Alright, that's always good when you get an autosave. Tells you that something very pleasant's about to happen. Boy, these guys... Alright, we got more dark spawn afoot. Ahoy there, bridge troll. Oh! Oh! Pop another autosave here just in case. Alright. Thank God. Man, that would have really sucked if we had to redo all that. This guy's throwing poison darts. Nubnar, the two fell in love, and Ostia hoped to bring her lover to see her spirit friend. But the spirit, angered and jealous, bade her begone. Gazarath told her that she would never see it again until she brought her lover's ashes and sprinkled them over their spot. Ostia was horrified, and she fled from the enraged spirit. But she began to miss Gazarath, and on the day Nubinar asked her to marry him, she cut her beloved's throat, burned him, and brought his ashes to Gazarath, knowing that their marriage would forever sever her ties to her dear spirit friend. There are legends among the Chazand that Gazarath still haunts that lake, and that those who sprinkle the ashes of the deceased over the right spot can summon the spirit. In the memory of the contact with its beloved Ostia, Gazarath will grant a single wish and then vanish, never to be heard from again. A note is scribbled in the margin beneath the page. Marcus, I think this is real. If you take the ashes I gave you and scatter them over a pile of rocks on an overhang overlooking that half-sunken Tevinter dome, maybe Gazarath will appear and give you a wish. If the battle takes you there, I think it's worth a try. Interesting. Genlock. These are the most common darkspawn in the underground. Stocky and tough, Genlocks are notoriously difficult to kill even by magic. Hurlock. Taller than their Genlock cousins, the Hurlocks are roughly of human size but are possessed of considerable strength and constitution. The shock troop of the Darkspawn, a single berserking Hurlock, can often be a match for numerous opponents at once. They are known to adorn themselves with roughly curved tattoos to keep track of their kills and deeds, though it is unknown whether or not there is a uniform standard to these markings. Emissaries. Hurlock emissaries have also been known to appear during a blight. These Darkspawn are the only ones recorded as being capable of human speech and are often capable of employing magic. Wolf. It is rather unfair, the reputation that the wolf possesses in Ferelden. For a people that so clearly adore their hounds, Ferelden simultaneously harbor a distrust of wolves that borders on the unreasonable. Unreasonable, that is, if one were not familiar with the ancient legends regarding werewolves. There was a time in Ferelden's past when demons inhabited the bodies of wolves in great numbers, causing the wars against werewolves and spreading great fear and panic. The werewolves were slain, but even today the noble wolf is still looked upon with distrust. An attack by wolves upon civilized folk happens rarely, often only in times of desperation, and even then only when the wolves have the advantage of numbers. This can change during a blight. When Darkspawn rise onto the surface, their presence dramatically alters the savage nature of normal beasts. In blights past, as the corruption of the Darkspawn spread through the wilder areas of Thetis, it would infect the animals found there, and the more powerful of them would survive and be transformed into a more vicious and dangerous beast. A blight wolf is one such example, mad with pain of its infection, and only through the overriding command of the Darkspawn does it still retain some semblance of its pack instincts. Blight wolves are always found in large groups and will tend to overwhelm a single target if they can, using their numbers to their advantage. It is fortunate that these creatures rarely survive their corruption for very long. Thanks. Fire arrows. Cool. Demonic Ichor, Darkspawn Staff. I'll take it, I guess, so long as I can carry it. Alistair, buddy. Are you able to heal? Doesn't look like it. Item set bonus. I don't really care about that. I care about leveling up. Three attributes. Constitution is going to be a good one, I think, and probably Dexterity. Threaten. The warrior adopts a challenging posture that increases enemy hostility with each melee attack, drawing them away from other allies while the mode is active. That seems useful when I want to start tanking, but I think I'm going to go with Precise Striking. Each time a warrior fells an enemy, the end of the battle seems closer at hand, restoring a portion of the warrior's stamina. Warriors' Unwavering Courage grants bonuses to damage. Grants bonus to damage, physical resistance, and mental resistance, as well as a bonus to critical chance that increases proportionally to the number of enemies above 2 that the warrior is engaging. Alright. Alright, Alistair, get your health back, bud. Let's go ahead and save. I may switch. Am I able to switch my combat difficulty? You know what? I'm going to play on easy just because the point of this playthrough is for me to analyze stuff, not to show my combat prowess. So we're just going to play on easy and call it a day. One of your party members has fallen in combat. No, I'm not worried about that. Okay. I already knew that. I already saw it happen. Alright, so I wonder if there's a pile of rocks by the dome that this person was talking about. Let's go look. Let's go take a little gandarooski and see if we can find a pile of rocks by the dome sunken into the swamp. Apparently there's a darkspawn to loot over here too. Because there's that dome over there. Wouldn't it be awesome if, like, that spirit is actually real? And he, like, comes up, he's like, I grant you one wish. You're like, I want immunity in this fight. Done. See what we can find. Hey, a pile of rocks. Right-click to examine. You see a pile of stones covered in a fine layer of dust and ash. Sprinkle more ash on the pile of stones. Here, buddy. Come on. Oh, shit. No! Azarath. Give me a wish. Shade. It has often been suggested that the only way for a demon to affect the world of the living is by possessing a living or once living body. But this is not always true. Indeed, a shade is one such creature. A demon in its true form that is adapted to affect the world around it. My hypothesis is this. We already know that many demons become confused when they pass through the veil into our world. They're unable to tell the living from the dead, the very static nature of our universe being confusing to a creature that is accustomed to a physicality defined entirely by emotion and memory. Most demons seek to immediately seize upon anything they perceive as life, jealously attempting to possess it. But what of those that do not? What of those that encounter no life, or fail to possess a body? What of those that are more cautious by their nature? These demons watch, they lurk, they envy. In time, such a demon will learn to drain energy from the psyche of those it encounters, just as it did in the Fade. Once it's drained enough, it has the power to manifest and will forever after be known as a shade. Such a creature spurns possession. It instead floats as a shadow across its piece of land, preying upon the psyche of any who cross its path. Perhaps it believes itself still in the Fade? There's evidence to believe that this is so. A shade will weaken the living by its very proximity. If it focuses its will, it can drain a single target very quickly. Some have even been known to assault the minds of a living victim, causing confusion or horror and making the target ripe for the kill. The tragedy of a shade is perhaps that. Once it has drained a target whole, its appetite is only heightened rather than slaked. From the journal of former senior enchanter Malleus, once of the Circle of Rivian, declared apostate in 920 Dragon Age. Codex entries. Oh, Gazarath, what do you got for me, buddy? Potent Health Poultice, Lesser Injury Kit, Ornamental Sword, which is better than what I currently have, and some Chainmail that is equivalent to what I already have. Tier 2, 16 strings. Give me that, give me that, give me that. I wonder if I could put some of this Chainmail on, like, Alistair. Splint Mail. Basically the exact same. Okay. Well, whatever. We can still sell it nonetheless. I am intrigued by that sword. Where is the ornamental sword? Is much stronger. So let's go ahead and chuck that baby in there. Ooh, that's it's a two-handed sword. Damn it. Damn it. I gotta have my shield. Got to have it. I think that's probably greatsword, two-handed. Main hand, longsword. Make sure I'm holding the right one. I am. Alright, I got too much shit in my inventory already. I like how Gazrath just dropped a bag. Isle of Rags. Enchanter's Footing. I'll sell him. Okay. Well, that's neat that we got to fight that. Oh, good. More autosave. How about you? Alright, let's go, fellas. Let's get in here. Oh, look at the big boy. Playing on easy is the right call. 100%. So much. This is so much more enjoyable. All right, enchanted dagger. Not interested. Firebolt, amethyst. Cool. Okay. I do want to check down here real quick just to see if there was anything neat. I don't think there was, but it's always worth looking. Nope. Okay. Back up we go. This looks like ruins that would potentially have some scrolls in it. Warden's cache. Uh-oh.
Well, well. What have we here?
Who dis?
Are you a vulture, I wonder? A scavenger, poking amidst a corpse whose bones were long since cleaned? Or merely an intruder, come into these darkspawn-filled wilds of mine in search of easy prey? What say you, Scavenger or intruder?
I'm neither. Grey Wardens once owned this tower.
'Tis a tower no longer. The wilds have obviously claimed this desiccated corpse. I have watched your progress for some time. Where do they go, I wondered? Why are they here? And now you disturb ashes none have touched for so long. Why is that?
Don't answer her. She looks chastened, and that means others may be nearby.
Oh, you fear barbarians will swoop down upon you.
Yes, swooping is bad.
She's a witch of the wilds, she is. She'll turn us into toads.
Witch of the wilds. Such idle fancies, those legends. Have you no minds of your own? You there. Elves are not frightened little boys. Tell me your name and I shall tell you mine.
Ooh, she's good. She's good. If you want to control an engagement when you are unknown party, one of the best ways that you can control it is to be very calm, direct, and clear. She is absolutely owning this moment. and has us on our heels because we, in seeing her certainty, come closer to our own uncertainty, which means she has us at a massive disadvantage. Now, that could be veneer. She could be freaked out. Like, maybe she is legitimately worried about what we could do to her, and so she's overcompensating, but the fact of the matter is we're showing our hand by being the more reactive in this group. So, I don't know that I can trust her. I don't know anything about her. She is a threat, as everything in this forest has been. But I would do well to meet her even-keeledness with my own, because the guys in my party certainly have not done that, which is not great, and she knows that. So she's going to leverage that, which is pretty smart. Also, I give her a lot of credit for the way that she played me there, right? So what she did was she created a in-group hierarchical separation by essentially saying, oh, you're not a frightened little boy like the guys you're with. So she kind of boosts my ego and then pulls me in, because now now she has created an expectation that I can meet by bending to her will, by telling her my name first. It could be dangerous for me to tell her my name first. Yet now I have to dig deep here, because she's essentially saying to me, like, you wouldn't want to be like your frightened little compadres, would you? She's really good. So that also tells me that she's been in a situation like this before and she knows how to handle it. So I would do well to be cooperative with her. You can call me Mick.
And you may call me Morrigan, if you wish. Shall I guess your purpose? You sought something in that chest? Something that is here no longer?
Here no longer. You stole them.
Easy, dude.
You're some kind of sneaky witch thief.
How very eloquent. How does one steal from dead men?
Quite easily, it seems. Those documents are Grey Warden property, and I suggest you return them.
I will not, for 'twas not I who removed them. Invoke a name that means nothing here any longer if you wish. I am not threatened.
Oh, damn. Alistair, can I switch her out for you, buddy? Apathy is a wondrous power move. Alistair is essentially trying to leverage that, like, shared meaning. Like, he's hoping that she cares about shit the same way that he does, which is honestly, like, it's a total man move. I mean, men do this a lot. I don't generally like to make blanket generalization like this, but, like, he's assuming she cares about the same stuff he does. He doesn't. Or she doesn't. She doesn't give a shit. Like, so her not caring gives her all the power. Because the way that power works in relationship dynamics is that the person with the least investment has the most power. We see this in intimate relationships, we see this in friendships, we see this in families. It is always the person with less interest who has more power here. So by him being invested in this moment and her not being invested in it, she carries all the power. And so Alistair is trying to get her to care as much as he does, or to share that meaning so that he can pull one over on her. And she's just like, nah, don't give a shit. You're invoking names that don't matter here, dude. You have no power here. And Alistair probably isn't prepared for that. He's used to brute forcing things, and she's coming at him with nuance. She has us wrapped around her finger right now. So again, we have to be mindful that working with her is the better option here, rather than antagonizing her or, you know, cracking jokes or trying to assume things about her that we clearly don't know. All that does is further our disadvantage. Right? So these two are not useful. Let's engage with her. She followed through. She said, tell me your name and I'll tell you mine. She did that. So Who removed him? Do you know?
'Twas my mother, in fact.
Oh. Well, could you... I have no reason not to take what she says at face value. Can you take us to her?
There is a sensible request. I like you.
I'd be careful. First it's, I like you, but then zap. Frog time.
She'll put us all in the pot, she will. Just you watch.
If the pot's warmer than this forest, it'd be a nice change.
Follow me then, if it pleases you. Greetings, Mother. I bring before you 4 Grey Wardens who...
I see them, girl. Much as I expected.
Are we supposed to believe you were expecting us?
You are required to do nothing, least of all believe. Shut one's eyes tight or open one's arms wide. Either way, one's a fool.
She's a witch, I tell you. We shouldn't be talking to her.
Quiet, Dareth. If she's really a witch, do you want to make her mad?
There is a smart lad. Sadly irrelevant to the larger scheme of things, but it is not I who decides. Believe what you will. And what of you? Does your elven mind give you a different viewpoint? What do you believe?
Oh my god, they're so good. They're so good. They have disarmed us of everything. Just completely disarmed them. First of all, what I love is that they're not denying what all of these guys are worried about. That gives them power. We have no idea whether they can actually turn us into a toad or not. We don't even know if they're witches. But they're controlling this engagement by allowing these guys to have their mind wander into what-if land. There is real power sometimes in staying silent and leaving people to their own what-ifs and their own devices. You can control engagements that way. Particularly, again, there's tension here because we don't know what the agenda of each other is. But they are using confidence to show that they have some understanding of why we're here, while meanwhile we're lost in our own unknowns on this. So they have the upper hand. They remain calm, they stay cool and collected, and they let them freak out. It's really beautiful that they are so mindful of how they're approaching this while we're reacting. Absolutely beautiful. Sometimes you can use people's preconceived notions against them. And that's what they're doing. General Andrews, thank you for the raid, buddy. I appreciate it. By the way, I just want to say, because there's probably some new folks that are rolling in here, this is spoiler-free, backseating-free. Please don't talk about anything we don't already know. I know this is an old game, but if you're not sure whether it's something that we should know at this current juncture in the game, do not talk about it. All right. What do you believe? I'm not sure what to believe is the better reaction here. I want to stay cool, even keel, be honest, and shoot straight with them. That's what they're doing with me. So I'm not sure what to believe is better than being antagonistic. There's no reason for me to be antagonistic here because they have all the power.
A statement that possesses more wisdom than it implies. Be always aware. Or is it oblivious? I can never remember. So much about you is uncertain, and yet I believe. Do I? Why, it seems I do.
So this is a dreaded Witch of the Wilds.
Witch of the Wilds, huh? Morrigan must have told you that. She fancies such tales, though she would never admit it. Oh, how she dances under the moon.
They did not come to listen to your wild tales, Mother.
True, they came for their treaties, yes? And before you begin barking, your precious seal wore off long ago. I have protected these.
Oh, you protected them?
And why not? Take them to your Grey Wardens and tell them this Blight's threat is greater than they realize.
Interesting. Morgan's mom kind of threw her under the bus there, or gave us maybe more information than. See, you really got to listen. Like, you really got to listen in between the lines on what people do, right? So, Witch of the Wilds, we get some insight into Morgan's relationship with her mother, because her mother, instead of thinking to herself, "Oh, these guys just tell these tall tales while they're over at, like, in their little camps," she assumed that that's what Morgan said. Interesting. Why would Morgan say that? That's a outside conjecture that people have made from not understanding these two. So I don't know what it means, but we can start to build a bit of an idea of what the nature of their relationship is and how we might use that to our advantage. And I don't necessarily mean that in a malicious way, but like, listening for that is interesting. She kind of like undercut her daughter there by saying, "Oh, you must have heard that from her," instead of assuming that we must have heard that because of our own simple representation of what we think they are. What do you mean the threat's greater than they realize?
Either the threat is more, or they realize less. Or perhaps the threat is nothing. Or perhaps they realize nothing.
Ooh, I like her.
Oh, do not mind me. You have what you came for.
Time for you to go, then.
Do not be ridiculous, girl. These are your guests.
Oh, very well. I will show you out of the woods. Follow me.
Oh, she's cool. She's really cool. Codex updated. Characters. Morgan, Witch of the Wilds. Such idle fancies, those legends. Have you no minds of your own? Of herself, Morgan says little. She does not deny being a Witch of the Wilds, but beyond that, everything about her is in question. She also doesn't confirm it. Hurlock. Taller than their Genlock cousins, the Hurlocks are roughly of human size, but are No, I already read that. Interesting. All right. So now here we are, back at camp. What a trip. Well, that's probably as good a place as any for us to finish episode 2. So we'll see what happens at the start of episode 3 when we go talk to Mr. Duncan about the fact that we got some vials, we got some scrolls, and we met the ladies of the swamp. Before you go, make sure you leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Follow all the links down in the description and leave a comment if there's anything that you'd like to say. I just ask that if you leave a comment that you please not post any spoilers or backseating, or that includes talking about things that I may have missed. If I miss it, I miss it. The run is the run. But I hope that my analysis of some of the parts of this run have been meaningful to you in some way. Maybe you learned something. I appreciate that you all give me this platform to talk about stuff. I hope that it's a mix of education and fun. I'm assuming you like it since you keep coming back. So I will see you in part 3, and if you ever want to watch me live, twitch.tv/DrMick. Catch you in part 3, friends. Can't wait.